Having a super fantastic sparkling day. Welcome to Porchlight Letters podcast number 2512. And today we are talking about family myths and legends. This is one of my favorite topics because it means there's stories. And some of those stories, you got to go research a little, which I love to do. So most families have at least one story that gets passed from generation to generation. Maybe there was an ancestor who was related to royalty. Perhaps someone arrived on a famous ship. Maybe there's a hidden fortune, a famous relative, or an extraordinary event that has become part of family lore. Some of these stories turn out to be true. Others become a little more complicated when the records are examined. But that does not make them any less valuable. All the stories are valuable in their own way. Family myths and legends are often clues. They can point researchers towards places, people, events, and memories that mattered enough for the story to survive. Think about that. Over time, details may be added, forgotten, or changed. It happens with any story. Every time it gets told, there's a slight variation of it. A true story can become embellished, which we know. Several stories can become one. Yes, I watched that one night. My mother-in-law was sitting watching the news, and she combined the first 3 news stories into one story. Yes, it was very interesting how her mind worked with that. But it's not just her it wasn't just her with her dementia. It happened at the beginning stages of dementia. It happens a lot with regular people. Those several stories can become one story in your brain. Facts and memories can blend together, which is why some stories get blended into one. Genealogy gives us the opportunity to explore these stories with curiosity rather than judgment. I tell you, there's a few stories that have come up, a few theories that have come up about those stories. When I'm researching, I'm always come across these interesting stories, and like people will type up the story and attach it to that person in Ancestry, and if their tree is public, then you can find those things, and they come up in the hints, and you go and read them and go, well, isn't that interesting? Let's see what really happened. And you get sidetracked down the rabbit hole to go and find out, is this story true or not? And there's some interesting things. Some are kinda, some are definitely, and some are not. Yeah. Sometimes the records confirm the stories. Sometimes they reveal a different version of events. And sometimes the truth is even more interesting than the legend. You just got to remember, Mark Twain once said that, what did he say? It's gone out of my head for a second. Hang on. Truth is stranger than fiction, which is why fiction has to make sense. Okay, truth is stranger than fiction. And I will tell you this happens every single time. Every time I reveal a tree to a client, I have a new story to tell them. And then I tell them the story, and then some of it has been backed up by the fact that I have the documentation for it. Other of it has been backed up by other records. There was this one where her third great-grandfather, when he was 80 or turning 80, he wrote this story of his life that was published as 3 separate newspaper articles. And so we were able to tell the client about her third great-grandfather and some of the adventures that he had with the famous, what the hell was he? It was Daniel Boone. It was with Daniel Boone. And how he grew up trying to emulate Daniel Boone. And when I first read the article, I sort of thought, no, this can't be real. Let's go do some research. We went and did some research and found out that he actually did know Daniel Boone. His wife was the sister-in-law to Daniel Boone's daughter and niece. And then they said that his wife was a cousin of Daniel Boone's, but we haven't been able to confirm that. We've not been able to confirm that, but we have confirmed that she definitely was the sister-in-law to his daughter and niece. So there's all these sort of little fun stories that come along. And then we found another fun. And then in this article, it met about how he met his wife, because he was good friends with her brothers, and they were feeling sorry about his sister because she was not of. I'm trying to remember how he worded it in the article. He wrote in the article about something about how she was not the greatest beauty, and he kind of felt sorry for her, so he went and married her. That's how they got married. They had a parcel of kids too, so he must have found something attractive with her to be able to have a parcel of kids with her. but he always wanted to be like Daniel Boone and things like that. And so then there's this article that just went through these stories in his life, just 3 short articles. And Daniel Boone did have a big impact in his life. And so when you see those stories and you hear those stories, you think, oh, they're not true. So you go and research them and find out that there is some truth in some, there is no truth in others, and there is absolute 100% truth. This one we kind of figured it was kind of true. It was basically true because he was telling his own life story. And we could find other points in his life where he met up with Daniel Boone, or they went basically house hunting together. It's the only way I can think of it. They went to find land to put their family on because their family had been evicted by the government from the land that they had been given. And so they went, and so the 3rd great-grandfather, the 4th great-grandfather, and Daniel Boone went to another state, and they ended up helping found this county, of which they set up everything there, and then went home and picked up the families and moved. So there are some very strange stories out there. And this one line of this tree has just, in the 3rd generation, there's all the stories, and the 3rd great-grandparents had these stories to tell. Then we get to the 4th great-grandparents, there's other wild stories to tell. And then we got to the 5th great-grandparents, and it's sort of like, I don't know if I want to go back any further, because every level we found these different outrageous stories. And it's like, this can't be true. And we go and research to find out that, yes, it was true, or it was mainly true, or there was a little bit of truth in there. But we kept finding these outrageous stories, and there was kidnappings in there, and death and tragedy, and all sorts of incredible things in there. So don't disregard the stories. The stories are part of your heritage. Research helps us understand where those stories came from and what they can teach us about the people who came before us. And I will tell you, reading these stories about this one particular branch, and even reading stories from other trees that I have done as well, it shows you the courage and the strength and we're just going to do this, live or die, we're going to do this attitude that our ancestors had. And it makes me grateful for the path that they went, for the stories that were created, because they went on some adventure somewhere. Haven't found any buried treasure yet, though. But just finding these stories and just reading and just learning more about the events that took place behind the family lore and the family mystery and things, and then being able to bring it to life by saying, well, this actually did happen. This is what was recorded, da, 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 da. Or, okay, that didn't happen. We can't find any record on that. It doesn't mean to say that it didn't happen. We just can't find the right records right now. We may find them later on. We may not. It could be complete fabrication. But sometimes they contain clues to the real story. So you got to be unaware for that too. Every family legend starts somewhere. Every story has a beginning somewhere. We just got to find it. And finding the beginning is often one of the most rewarding parts of family history research. From experience, I can totally and utterly agree with that. I love stories. I'm a huge storyteller. I've got storytellers all through my tree. You could say it's a trait that's been handed down through DNA. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree. My grandfather was a great storyteller. My grandmother was a great storyteller, and it's come through the family. It really has. You can go back and see the stories that have been written, it's just a line of storytellers. And I'm very proud to be a part of that and be part of that. It's part of my legacy, part of the legacy I've inherited through DNA, or part of the legacy that I've inherited through knowing these people. Whichever way it comes, it's a lot of fun. I love stories. I love telling stories. The truer the story, the better it is, the more I can get into the story. Yes, I love to read my fiction. I read fiction a lot. I read nonfiction a lot as well. I'm telling about, if you can see, there's my bookcase here. Look, there's my tiara. And there's on this shelf here, there's fiction and nonfiction on all of these shelves that you can see behind me. Most of the fiction are on this shelf and this shelf. There's a lot of biographies up there because I love reading biographies and love reading some of the claims that they make. It's just a lot of fun, and I find the story. Some of those books up there are kind of like business books, but they're told in a parable. I love to learn that way. Absolutely love to learn that way. Instead of somebody just sitting there giving me all the technical stuff, my brain just can't compute. Give me technical information and my brain might be able to compute some of it, but most of it will be, it's gone. Give me a parable or a story, boom, I'm in there and I can relate to those stories and stuff, and I can pull out the information that I need. So there is one, I don't know if it's actually, I don't know if I've, oh, there it is over there. There's a book over on the shelf. It's called 1 Minute Millionaire. And it's very interesting on how they have done this book. They have created this book for the technical people and for the story lovers. When you open the book, on the left-hand side is the technical stuff. On the right-hand side is the story. Every page, right-hand side is the story. Left-hand side is the technical stuff. So if you're reading the story and you want a little clearer explanation, it's right there on the page opposite. It is really well written, very well done. Absolutely love that book. But anyway, back to true story family stuff. Find your task tonight. What is that one story that has been passed down through generations that you want to find out is true or not? Write down as much as you can about that story and start researching it and seeing what happens. If you need help researching stories, just come up. Jeepers, my direction's off today. Come up here and scan this code and you can book a 30-minute discovery call with us where we can help you get on the right path for discovering your family stories and the truth behind them. With that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. And we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. because I have an event on from 5 to 7. So I'll be on as soon as that event finishes. But it'll be around 7 p.m. Pacific. So we'll see you then. Have a super fantastic, sparkling evening. Hey, konara.